Hey guys, Kim here, copywriter in the fintech industry. I've been analyzing some of the top fintech companies' copy, whether it's their email copy, Facebook copy, site copy, essentially anything I can get my hands upon, and primarily to learn more about what's working in the industry from these top companies. But also, I felt like it would be a good idea to record the process so that you can maybe see something that you could implement in your business right away. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. And the company I wanted to analyze today is called Curve. Curve is essentially a way to consolidate all your cards into one card and one app. So, right off the bat, they have kind of like a little pattern interrupt, something very counterintuitive. This is not a card. Wait, yes, it is. That's common sense. So now you're curious to see what they mean, and curiosity is always a good feeling that you want to induce. And now that they've essentially caught my attention, let's scroll down. This is your badass 100 cards in one, your gateway to money for nothing. Now, I love this especially because they're calling out their target audience in a way without explicitly calling them out. Now, this is 100% my opinion, but I can imagine they're appealing to a more millennial crowd and not, older folks because just back in the day, just using bad words really isn't professional by a lot of people's standards. So I love that they did that here, and it also shows their personality a bit. Also, I love how concise they are. Now, I know this fact because I'm a huge culprit of it, especially during my days in sales. So the tendency to want to over explain things is very common because it's kind of counterintuitive, but when you want to make sure someone understands something, it's very common to want to just make sure you say every single little detail, but by trying to make sure they understand every single little detail, it just becomes confusing and it drowns out the main message that you want them to grasp. So here they're just very quick, very concise, and I can imagine even though it's five really short sentences, this probably took a long time to come up with. And I think they did a great job just hitting the core of what they're trying to communicate here. And then as you can see, it's a little call to action, but not everyone's ready, so no problem. Continue scrolling. You have plenty more chances to click. Curve with Apple Pay is here. Okay, I like this because I this is just a huge part of copy, again, part of sales. You want to make sure the objections are coming to the light and being addressed. You don't just want to leave them hanging like hopefully the prospect doesn't object to this. Like it's kind of like the elephant in the room. You want to address it. And when it comes to me giving my credit card to anyone or my debit card number to anyone, of course, safety and privacy is huge. So I love how right off the bat they answer it and leverage Apple's reputation. So I love that. Skip over one card to rule them all. One card to rule them all. Curvis to banking when Netflix is. Now I love this because this is another way that they leverage credibility without actually having credibility as a company themselves. Here they're kind of doing some word jujitsu by leveraging Netflix and Spotify's credibility and without explicitly having to prove that they're credible, like they don't have to give any outward sources. They use a little comparison. Netflix is to TV, what Spotify is to music. Essentially, they're saying we are revolutionary, like Netflix and Spotify. We connect all your cards in one smart card and one even smarter app. We bring you financial freedom and endless opportunities all in one place. Simply wonderful. Now, it's super obvious that they love the power of one. I can imagine that's the one message they're trying to communicate in this entire page because it's repeated so often and it's the golden thread here. And it's I love that because you want to have one message that you're trying to communicate per page because any more and it just confuses people. And so they're not even hiding the fact that they're like one, like they're sticking it in your face, even with this cute little pun over here. All right. Spend from on your cards. Now, this is just them restating what they've already previously said, and I think this is more like for a graphic designer to analyze because of the red spend, red send, red see. I mean, I guess that's a clever use of copywriting, making sure they all start with the same letter so that's easy to remember. Spend, send, see, save. Even without reading the white part, I can pretty much infer what is going on here. So I think that's great if someone was just scrolling down the page. That would be eye catching. And like let's say I was just going down the page like this, chances are people are just gonna read the headlines and things that stand out. So I actually really like that. Spend on adventures stress free. Okay, I also love this part because they do a good job of speaking to their target market. Now, if I was someone who never really traveled and I always stayed at home, I probably wouldn't care about having my cards dispersed. But when you're traveling and you really have so many things to be mindful of, and like sometimes you're in a rush, so you grab your card quickly and then you're scared that you drop it. I know that's a fear for me. And like as I'm trying to grab my ID to like prove my identity, like I get scared of dropping my credit card and stuff. So I really like this here because they're really speaking to the culture of their travel market, of their market, which probably is travelers. And I can imagine if they were appealing to like new moms who just had a baby who definitely would not be traveling, I can almost say with 100% certainty that this part would definitely not be on this page. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna just end it here because this is a really long page and I do want to keep these videos short. But I hope you're able to get a thing or two that you could implement in your own business. And I mean, there's a lot of things that we can take here. Just a quick recap is something counterintuitive, almost like a pattern interrupt right off the bat. You want to create that feeling of curiosity, and then, of course, you want to call out your target audience like they did. And sometimes it doesn't have to be explicitly, sometimes it could just be through your style and your tone. And another main thing I liked here is just making sure that if someone were to skim your page, which most people do skim pages, that the things that stand out, the things that jump at you, are clear and compelling. So that was another great thing. And so yeah, that's the recap. And again, I hope you found some value in this video. I'm always open to feedback. But otherwise, until next time.